Okay, so you're thinking about a career as an electronics engineering technician.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us today.
We do. Luckily, we've got this stack of RoleCatcher articles to guide us. They seem to have a lot to say about what it takes to really thrive in this kind of role.
And what's really interesting is that when most people think about this job, they think like soldering irons and wires, you know.
Yeah. Fixing things is usually the first thing that comes to mind.
Right. But if you really dig into what RoleCatcher's telling us, it's clear that being an electronics engineering technician is about so much more than just that.
It really is. You want to understand the day-to-day, right? And what RoleCatcher emphasizes is that it's about being a problem solver. It's about being an innovator.
It's about being that person who takes those engineering dreams and actually, makes them a reality.
Exactly. It's funny you should mention fixing things because that seems to be the biggest misconception.
Yeah.
You wanted to understand the day-to-day, and RoleCatcher emphasizes that this role goes way beyond that. Think bigger picture. Imagine being involved from the get-go, like from the initial design phase, tinkering with circuits, brainstorming solutions, all the way to seeing those electronics actually come to life, on a production line.
And that's where your natural curiosity is really going to be a huge asset in this job.
Right.
RoleCatcher talks about how electronics engineering technicians are constantly working with engineers, analyzing designs, troubleshooting problems as they come up.
That's right.
You're not just following instructions. You're actively using your brain, your own ideas. You're contributing.
You're part of the team.
Exactly. Have you ever built a computer?
Sure.
Think of it like that, but on a much, much more intricate level.
Wow.
Maybe even designing a specific component or, a circuit board.
That's a great analogy. And speaking of intricate, RoleCatcher gets into the nitty-gritty, like the specific tasks. And we're talking assembling the units, running performance tests, even deciphering those super complex design specs.
Oh, for sure.
That's detail-oriented work.
It is. And this is where that whole emphasis on mathematical ability comes in. I think it was like 60% of the roles they analyzed.
60%. It did make me do a double take when I saw that.
Yeah, because you might think, oh, this is just practical skills, hands-on stuff.
Right.
But you're not just putting pieces together. You have to understand, the why behind it all.
So it's not just knowing how to use a soldering iron. It's about really understanding the language that those circuits speak.
Yes.
Using math to problem solve, analyze data, making sure everything is humming along perfectly.
Oh, precisely.
So would you say that having a really solid foundation in math is absolutely crucial for someone to be successful in this career?
It's essential. Think about it. You might be able to, wire a light bulb by just following the directions on a diagram, right?
Right.
But to design a whole lighting system, troubleshoot electrical issues maybe in a house or something, you've got to understand the relationship between voltage, current, resistance.
That's where the math comes in.
Exactly. It's the foundation for everything else.
That makes total sense. Now, RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from the challenges either. They're pretty upfront about the fact that there is a potential for some tasks to be, let's just be honest, a little repetitive at times.
Right, of course. Most jobs have that element.
Sure. But they also emphasize the need to constantly be adapting to new technologies. How do you think that resonates with your desire for, a dynamic and engaging career?
Honestly, I think that's what makes it so exciting.
Okay.
Because there are constantly new components being developed.
Yeah.
The software is always being updated, so there's always a new challenge right around the corner. It's definitely not static or like a boring field by any means.
It's like being a lifelong student,
Right.
but you get paid for it. And RoleCatcher really emphasizes how important that is, that you're always learning.
It's essential in this field, definitely.
They even have a whole section on interview prep, which I thought was super helpful.
Oh, yeah, their sample interview questions are, spot on.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me was, how do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because it's designed to figure out, how passionate you are about this.
It's your chance to prove that you're not just clocking in and out,
Exactly.
That you're genuinely jazzed about the world of electronics.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe you geek out over the newest microprocessors, or you've been teaching yourself how to code in your spare time. Those are the kinds of things that would really impress a potential employer, I think.
Absolutely. It shows that you're proactive, you're interested in learning, and honestly, when you're passionate about something, you just naturally want to learn more. You're going to seek it out.
For sure. Now, you mentioned earlier that this role isn't just about the technical stuff, that RoleCatcher also highlighted soft skills as being important.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Which makes sense when you think about it. You're going to be collaborating with engineers, other technicians, so being able to, like, communicate your ideas effectively is key.
Communication is huge. It's definitely not a solo thing at all. In fact, RoleCatcher found that something like 69% of the roles that they looked at required a good understanding of mechanical concepts too.
Wow, 69%. So you need to have a handle on both.
Yes, you got the electronics, but you also need to understand the physical components, like how to actually assemble stuff.
Right, so it's not just theoretical.
Exactly. Knowing how things actually fit together in the real world, that's just as important as understanding the circuitry.
And that's where those certifications that RoleCatcher mentions could really give you a leg up.
For sure.
Things like the Certified Electronics Technician or the Certified Electronics Engineering Technician.
Right, those are the big ones.
Those are like badges of honor.
Exactly. And they often involve, rigorous training and coursework, so it's a great way to, one, stay ahead of the curve, and two, show that you're really committed to this.
And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, RoleCatcher gets into some really cool stuff. They're talking about automation technology, cloud technologies, even like data mining and analysis.
Oh, yeah. Things are getting really interesting in that area. And it all ties back into what we were saying about math. Data analysis is becoming super important.
Right. Especially as you progress, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
So it's not just knowing how to, like, assemble a circuit board. It's about being able to really look at the data, identify trends maybe use some more specialized software.
Yeah, for sure. And what's really cool is that as technology keeps advancing, the role of the electronics engineering technician is going to advance right alongside it.
And the more comfortable you are with all that, the more valuable you become.
It's true. I feel like what RoleCatcher is trying to say is, hey, we're not going to just tell you about what the job is now. We're going to give you a peek into what this field might look like in the future.
Which is so valuable for someone like you who's looking for a career that's going to last, that's going to keep growing. Right?
You want something that's going to keep challenging you.
Definitely. And RoleCatcher does a good job of making it clear that this field it's the opposite of stagnant. Like there's always going to be something new to learn, some new problem to solve.
It's like they've opened a door to this world that most of us only ever see on a surface level. We use our phones and our computers, our smart appliances.
Right.
But we never really stop to think about the people who make it all work.
And that's what I think is so cool about this kind of job. You get to be behind the scenes in the engine room of all this innovation.
You're not just building gadgets, you're building the future.
Exactly.
And RoleCatcher is like your guidebook.
100%. They've thought of everything.
And what a journey it is. I'm telling you, even I'm feeling pretty fired up about all this after going through this stuff with you.
Right.
RoleCatcher really knows how to write this stuff up.
They do. And one thing that really stood out to me was how much they talk about career progression.
Oh, yeah. They're big on that. Because you're not just like stuck in one lane in this job.
Totally.
There's so many different paths you can take as an electronics engineering technician.
Absolutely. Like when they break down the career stages from entry level all the way up to senior level.
Yes.
I love that they have those example profiles.
Yes, of real people.
Yeah, it's really helpful to see, like, okay, what does this actually look like?
Right, exactly.
You can see how your responsibilities might change over time, how you could go from assisting on projects to leading them.
For sure.
From just troubleshooting really basic problems to designing something super complicated.
Totally, yeah. You're building a ladder, basically.
You are.
And RoleCatcher gives you, like, all the blueprints.
They really do, and they go beyond just the technical stuff, too, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Because they have a whole section on networking.
Oh, yeah.
Which, let's be real, sometimes it's not just about what you know.
It's who you know.
Exactly. It's about who you know, especially in a field like this where it's so collaborative. And they really encourage you to, like, connect with other professionals, maybe go to some industry events.
Get your face out there.
Yeah. Even just reach out to some people for, like, informational interviews.
Definitely.
It's about making those connections and learning from other people and, just staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Stay top of mind.
Yes. And what I thought was really cool is that RoleCatcher actually gives you the tools to do all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Their platform has all these built-in features where you can, like, manage your network. You can link your contacts to job applications.
Oh, that's smart.
You can even, like, write down notes from conversations.
Wow, so it's like you're building a whole system.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's like having a little CRM for your career, you know?
They really did think of everything.
They did, and that's what makes them such a great resource, is that they're not just throwing information at you, they're giving you guidance
Right.
and tools and, like, actual strategies that you can use.
To be successful.
Yes. To be successful in all parts of this career, not just, like, the day-to-day work.
Like having a mentor in your pocket, you know?
Totally. So as we kind of wrap up our little deep dive here on electronics engineering technicians, what's your biggest takeaway? What surprised you the most about this whole thing?
Honestly, I think what surprised me the most is how many opportunities there are.
Right.
Like you could be working on, I don't know, life-saving medical devices or the latest smartphones or renewable energy systems.
Just crazy.
Self-driving cars, it's limitless.
Limitless possibilities. And speaking of possibilities, here's a final thought for you to think about.
Okay.
What if this career path that we've been talking about, what if it could be like the perfect blend of you getting to work with your hands, which you love, but also that fascination with technology?
That would be amazing.
Right. What if you could be one of the people on the cutting edge making all this new stuff?
Wow.
And with RoleCatcher as your guide, you'd have everything you need.
It makes me want to start today.
It makes me want to do it. Well, sadly, we are out of time for today, but hey, until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Sounds like a plan.